UT coach Ray Trail from the Daily Times, Marcus Fitzsimmons, and Troy Provo Heron.
Hello, everybody, and greetings from the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. I'm Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, along with Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons, and this is the Goatee Sports Page. Tennessee moves to number 1 in the country in baseball, and we're going to the whistle blows. And now let's set the lineup card, sponsored by Blunt Partnership. The University of Tennessee Sports Report, sponsored by the Cherokee Group and the Murphy's Bobcat SEC Notebook, lead off with Marcus Fitzsimmons and Donnie Moore. Today we'll talk some Tennessee baseball, volunteer football, and follow it all up with some NCAA NIL news. Donnie Moore will update us on high school scores and news from around the area, and then mark it down with Marcus Fitzsimmons, sponsored by Mandy B. Street Realty, features Chris Clark of Maryville Alcoa Parks and Rec. The Anderson Lumber Company Player of the Week will be announced, featuring Marcus Fitzsimmons. Donnie Moore returns to discuss headlines from around the sports world before the Boyd Sports Spotlight shines on Major League Baseball. And finally, the Bold Prediction segment closes out today's show as the Goatee Sports Page panel will make their weekly sporting news picks. And now it's time for the Cherokee Group UT Sports Report and the Murphy's Bobcat SEC Notebook, featuring Marcus Fitzsimmons and Donnie Moore. And Donnie Moore, we got Troy Provo Heron's a little bit under the weather this morning. He's not with us. And Tony Iruli, Coach Iruli, assistant football coach at Carson Newman, couldn't be with us because his wife, Carolyn, fell and broke her hip.
She sure did.
The other day,
we wish Carol well, and Tony. We wish Tony lots of good luck taking care of her.
Yeah, and before we forget it, you get busy on the show and things get going, and we want to wish all the mothers out there Happy Mother's Day for tomorrow.
That's right.
Tomorrow's their big day, and we hope it's special for all of them.
Sure do, Mike.
Yeah.
This is where we should say, kids, if you are at the point now you're getting ready to graduate, or you're junior, and you're looking forward to senior year, take time to thank Mom, because she drove you to all those practices and picked you up from every one of them too.
True that.
Yeah, and wanted to let everyone know out there that this is our last show of the season.
Right.
Donnie, we'll be wrapping up today, and it's been a heck of a year.
Sure has.
UT Sports, gosh, the football team did well, and Marcus, the basketball team did well. Even the Lady Vols had a good year, even though it wasn't up to expectations. But baseball's going strong right now. Softball's going strong. So it's been good reporting there from that standpoint. And then all of our local teams here.
Yeah, what a high school season we've had.
Yeah, another great high school season for team sports and individuals, Marcus.
Yeah, and let's not leave out Maryville College, because they had a good football season,
sure
right in
did.
contention for the championship. Men's basketball wins the conference championship and got the NCAA snub. But the softball team last weekend went as a 3 seed, won the conference tournament and the championship down there. Baseball was the regular season champion. They're hosting the conference tournament this weekend. They're playing today for possibly getting a championship game tonight. So it's been a great season for the Scots as well.
Sure has. Go Scots.
Yeah, I'll tell you what, life is good here in Blount County, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Huh? But we'll look forward, and God willing, we'll all be back, come next year when.
Well, we've still got one more little thing to do before we get
That's
out.
correct.
We've had a great regular season. Now we're moving into the playoffs.
Yeah.
Our playoffs are coming Wednesday.
That's right.
We'll talk about it later, but I don't want to give people the impression we're totally done yet.
Yeah.
We've still got a postseason to go.
And Donnie, before I get to the letter rip portion of the show here this morning, I want to congratulate you on your Kentucky Derby pick. Listen, Sierra Leone, I'm telling you, in the 2-gate, talking about last week, I don't want to be in the 1-gate or the 2-gate. Sierra Leone came out of the 2-gate, and right down the stretch it was Mystic, Dan, and Leone, and somebody else in there, another horse I can't, that was a Japanese horse, I think.
I lost by a nose.
You lost by a nose.
You just missed it.
I did.
Yeah.
I just missed it.
Unbelievable. You had to be sick.
It is what it is.
Well, my horse.
I almost won.
My horse, Steel something, Man of Steel or something. I don't know, but it was like third halfway down the backstretch. And I'm
Yeah,
going, well,
he was running well.
I'm thinking, 18-1, looking pretty good right here. And the guy on NBC picked that horse.
He sure did.
The guy, I can't remember his name, the guy that wears the khaki pants and all that, but I can't remember. But he picked the same horse I picked, and that horse just faded into the sunset.
Well, took a vacation
faded
right
into
there.
the sunset. Yeah, and I made a mistake last week. I was talking about, the Belmont stakes is going to be switched. And I think that, I mentioned that it was going to be run on a mile and a quarter, which is a shorter distance than the Belmont, because the Belmont's normally the longest race.
Right.
And I think I said it was going to be run at Saratoga, which is correct. But I think I mentioned that Saratoga was in Florida. Saratoga is not in Florida.
No,
you were thinking Saratoga.
Just a little north of that.
Listen, my geography has never, ever been very good. But Saratoga is in New York.
Yes, it is.
It is in New York, and they're just moving it out there because they're doing a lot of work at the racetrack there at Belmont under construction, and they're not going to be able to have it there. So, but anyway, Hey, let her rip. Let her rip this morning. I'm going to talk a little bit about Roger Penske. They're up at Indianapolis. They got the Grand Prix today up there.
Are you going to? You're not going to lay into him, are you?
The Sancio Grand Prix of Indianapolis takes place today at 3:00 on NBC, and Alex Palou will be on the pole. But there's a few Penske high-dollar rolling administrative people that won't be there. Because Roger Penske, because of the cheating scandal, has decided that he's going to suspend some people, and I want to talk about that a little bit. And it's still the big story in IndyCar, and whether he went far enough, I don't know. But anyway, this past Tuesday, Roger Penske suspended the president of Team Penske along with 3 others for 2 races for their role in the cheating scandal that has rocked IndyCar prior to the Indy 500. Penske said that after review, the team had no malicious intent by anyone and remarked the incident was a breakdown in internal process and communication. Roger Penske said he has taken action. It's time to move on. The individuals suspended are Tim Cindric, who oversees all of Team Penske's operations and is the strategist for Joseph Newgarden, team managing director Ron Rzuski, who is Newgarden engineer Luke Mason, and senior data engineer Robbie Atkinson. Rzuski and Atkinson both work on Will Power's car. Power is the only one of the 3 Penske drivers not accused of any wrongdoing. Is it really time to move on and put this incident in the rearview mirror? No driver was suspended. Joseph Newgarden and Scott McLaughlin both violated the rules by using the push-to-pass button at the start and on restarts in the St. Petersburg race in violation of the rules. If both drivers did not know the system was flawed, why did they push the push-to-pass button in the first place? They cheated by pushing the button. Should Roger Penske suspend both of these drivers for 2 races? Or should he take more drastic steps and to show the other teams in IndyCar how serious Roger Penske is on playing by the rules, should he have withdrawn his team for the next 2 races, which would have been the Grand Prix today and the Indy 500 at the end of the month, which he did not do. So, Donnie, I don't know. There's several car owners that are calling for him to sell the IndyCar Series because he owns the Indianapolis Motor Speedway and the IndyCar Series.
Yes, he does.
And there's some talk that they would like to see him step down, but he's saying, no, I'm not going to step down. I'm not going to step away from that. But I don't know. Has he gone far enough?
Well, the way I see it, if Roger Penske says it's time to move on in his position, then I guess it's time to move on because he's the boss at this point.
Yeah.
So whether we think it's time to move on or not, it's time to move on.
Yeah. Putting the incident aside, Marcus, there is a little bit of conflict of interest because he does have a race team in this series.
He does, yeah.
And you've got as a race team owner, you've got your own opinions on how things should be run, but because he's the owner of the entire series, that puts him in a really tough situation.
Well, it
does. It's a situation they brought on themselves though, because he owns it because they mismanaged it before he stepped in.
Yep.
So and you've created this situation, and nobody thinks it's a good situation. I mean, nobody would want Jerry Jones owning the NFL and the Dallas Cowboys.
Gosh.
You got that right.
I mean, that's what you're talking about. If you're not familiar with how racing works, you're talking about an owner also owning the league.
Yeah.
So no, it's not a good situation, and I think IndyCar needs to be looking at an exit strategy from that if it wants to go on long term. But as far as what he can do now, he can't win.
Yeah.
Either he's going to, even if he overpunishes his team, then he's overpunished his team and he's got resentment on his own team.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's not going to make the other owners happy anyway.
Yeah. Well.
But you've hit on the key point, which is what everybody wants to know. If it was just administrative, if it was just that they didn't take something off from testing, why were the drivers still hitting the button?
Right, that's what I'm saying.
They should have thought. It was disabled. There's no reason for them to be hitting it.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You know, why would they even think about hitting it? Because they know it's not going to work anyway.
Yeah.
So, I don't know. I think there's still some question marks out there. But regardless, you've got Will Power and Joseph Newgarden starting right up there in front today in the Grand Prix at Indianapolis.
That's true.
And they're going to be in the Indianapolis 500. And boy, I'll tell you what, if you're talking about throwing the salt to the wound, if one of those two drivers win today and then turn around and Penske wins the Indy 500 again with all that's going on, I don't know if that's going to help the situation at all. Huh?
It's not.
I don't know. But
it's going to bring it right back up.
Anyway, sometimes controversy can be good for a sport. You know, kind of wake everybody up and say, hey, maybe there's some ill feeling. Maybe I want to watch what's going on here. Tune in and see what's happening. So, well, we'll see. But they are in Indianapolis today. That race is at 3 o'clock. You can see it on NBC. And then next weekend they will qualify for the positions next Saturday and Sunday. And then the 107th running of the Indianapolis 500 will take place 2 weeks from tomorrow, Donnie.
Yeah, it sure will, Mike.
It's here, and it's kind of the final. I call it the final cap of the greatest few months in sports. You know, where you've got the NCAA basketball tournament, the Masters Golf Tournament, the Kentucky Derby, and you wrap it up right there with Indianapolis. I don't know any place in the world that's got that set up.
Absolutely not.
I want to this year. I would throw in the NASCAR All-Star race that follows Indy 500.
Okay.
Because they're going back to that historic track. Hasn't been run on in 15 years?
Yeah, it's been
something like that.
there.
But it used to be a NASCAR staple. It's smaller, it's rougher. It should be a lot of fun for them, and I think it could be, if they run that race right, it could be a really fun spectacle to watch.
Sure could.
Yeah. Well, let's talk a little Tennessee baseball. My golly, they're still hot. They went to Vanderbilt last night and beat the Commodores 8-4. I think they're still one game behind Kentucky in the East standings. As we go into their
not anymore.
They're not?
Kentucky lost last night.
Oh, they did lose last night. So now they're tied.
They're tied.
Okay.
They're tied in the standings now.
I saw it this morning. Evidently, they didn't update the standings.
Well, Tennessee was down in that game. I mean, they were up early. They had a little lead. And then Vanderbilt took a 5-4 lead, and you're going into the last 6 outs. And Tennessee just exploded and sent 8 guys to the plate and 2 home runs and turned it all around. And Vanderbilt just looked like their bullpen wilted after the first home run.
And, Donnie, to show how tough the SEC is, here you are, you're fighting for the Eastern Division lead with Kentucky. And on the other hand, you're number 1 in the country. And you're not. You're still in a fight to just win your division, but you're ranked number 1 in the country as of last week. And
you've got 1, 2, and 3 because you've got Tennessee, Arkansas, and A&M. It's the top 3 teams. Just shifted position. Tennessee went from 3 to 1, and we'll see what happens because A&M lost last night. But we'll see if they take this series.
Yep.
But I mean, I think there were 6 SEC teams in the top 15.
Unbelievable.
This week.
Unbelievable. Yeah. And you know, I think Tennessee jumped into that number 1 spot, Marcus, because of what they did at Florida last week. You know, they just played home run derby down there, especially in that 3rd game of that series. Just pounded the ball.
Hitting a lot of long balls.
Oh, my gosh, just out of the ballpark.
Being on TV for that game, I think, helped because a lot of people saw them, and they saw the explosiveness. They saw the home runs, and everybody loves those. But they also saw Tennessee's pitching at the end of a series doing a good job, and saw the bullpen come out and doing a good job. And I mean, Tennessee isn't supposed to have a bullpen that's putting up these kind of numbers, but it is.
Yeah.
They're just putting up efficient numbers and letting the run support carry them, but it's been effective.
Marcus, is being number one in baseball, is it different from being number one in, say, football or basketball? I mean, you can lose. I mean, the Vols have lost 9 games. I think overall you can lose more games and still be ranked number one. Does the pressure still come with you in baseball being number one compared to maybe the pressure you would have in football or basketball if you're ranked number one? What do you think?
I don't think so, because in college baseball, it's a tournament sport. I mean, it even more so than basketball, because where you finish in the regular season makes no difference, and there's so little difference on any given series as to what can happen. As long as you know and feel comfortable in the eyes of the NCAA, you are one of the top 8 teams and would be hosting the Super Regional. That's all you care about, is to be one of those 8.
I don't think being number one during the season, I don't know if people remember that, but, they remember championships, winning the Eastern Division, winning an SEC tournament championship, going to the College World Series.
Yeah.
Those are the big ticket items. When you compare that to a number one ranking at some point in the season, I don't think it holds water.
Nah.
I mean, you remember Tennessee being ranked number 1 2 years ago, because they were ranked number 1 for most of the season and then lost to Notre Dame in the Super Regional.
Right. Yeah.
But you rarely remember who was number 1 during a college baseball season when they're only number 1 for a couple of weeks or 2 or 3 weeks.
So
you remember who hosted, because you remember you were at so-and-so stadium when this happened.
Yeah. So let me ask you this. Would you prefer not to be number 1 in the country? Both of you can answer. Number 1 in the country going into NCAA tournament play? Would you rather be maybe lose a couple of games or not? I don't know if they're going to lose any. I mean, if they get through this Vanderbilt series, and they're at home, I think the last series, was South Carolina.
Right.
And then they go into SEC tournament play. I don't know how many more games they're going to lose. So, they're going to be ranked right up there at the top at least. But
I don't think, Rick, it really makes a whole lot of difference. I think, except for just media hype.
Yeah.
I don't think it makes that much difference.
Yeah.
And, you've got 5 games left. You've got 2 games left in Nashville today and tomorrow, and then you've got South Carolina for 3 at home.
Yeah.
I'm not rooting for Tennessee to lose, but I don't think it would hurt them one bit if they lost one of those 5 or lost 2 of those 5. It might keep them from being a number 1 seed in the conference tournament, but Tennessee can actually has the luxury of maybe pulling guys after 4 innings instead of letting them go for 5 or 6 and resting some arms up, because you're going to put in a lot of work at the SEC tournament. In this format, even if you win all your games, you're still playing a lot. And then you're going into those regional formats and double elimination, and you want your arms ready.
Yeah, you do.
Well, let's talk about a team that didn't put in a lot of work in the SEC tournament, and that's the Lady Vol softball team. They won the SEC regular season riding real high, and then they had the first round game there against, I think, number 8 seed LSU. And LSU took care of them the other night. What do you think about that? Big deal or not a big deal?
I don't think it's a big deal because of the way Tennessee lost. It was just a matter of getting a good pitcher on a good night with a good strike zone for them. And I'm not saying it changed for Tennessee. Tennessee's pitchers are just so good that if you give a wider strike zone, it doesn't help them really any more than normal, because they're so good at hitting their spots. But if it's a little wider, a pitcher like LSU has, suddenly they go from being a good pitcher to a great pitcher. And I think Tennessee struck out looking, I think, 6 out of the first 10 at bats. That's not Tennessee softball. Yeah. That's a strike zone, because you could see by their faces they were shocked that they were getting those third strike calls.
How does this affect them as far as seeding for the NCAA tournament? Does it affect them at all?
We'll find out tomorrow.
Yeah.
But it would surprise me if they still were not one of the 8 in the top 8.
Yeah.
I don't see that a 2-1 loss in your conference tournament knocking you out. I mean, if they lost 12-1 or something, that'd be something. But, I mean, it was a 2-1 loss in the quarterfinals.
Yeah. Let's talk a little bit about the NCAA and the NIL, because there was some news that came out about that I don't think this is definite yet, but it's on the table. It's on the table. And this is what they're thinking. The NCAA would pay athletes who did not receive NIL money 10 years prior to the NIL collectives. That's the lawsuit they're involved in right now, where it was filed that that the athletes, because they were at schools prior to when all this came in, filed a lawsuit, and they want their money for name, image, and likeness. So there's a thing on the table that the NCAA, to avoid all that, would pay that out. The NCAA payments would be paid to former college athletes who say they were illegally prevented from making money by selling the rights to their name, image, and likeness. The settlement would come with a corresponding commitment from conferences and schools to share revenue with athletes moving forward. The settlement would primarily focus on the power conferences. The ceiling would be put at $20 million per year for athlete revenue sharing. Step forward here. NCAA takes care of the one lawsuit. They put the other in-house, put a ceiling of $20 million on it, lets the schools control it, kind of step to the side. What do you think, Marcus?
Well, this is one route that might lead us to something more civilized than what we have now. I don't know if it's the one that's going to stand up simply because it's the NCAA administering it. And I'm not sure the NCAA is an institution that's going to hang around to run things in this new era. Because you're also seeing, at the same time they're talking about doing this, they've also announced they're changing the rules on basketball to unlimited campus visits. And you've got them trying to, because this is the lawsuit that made the rule change. Was, we wanted to use our name, image, likeness. Well, that changed so that all future athletes could work with NIL and make money, but the people who actually filed that suit didn't get anything off of that. So this is that back pay of the last 10 years, and trying to find the compensation for them for what they could have made and how you figure that out. You got me how you try to figure that out. And you've also got me as to why you stop at 10 years, because if you pay them, so that takes you back to 2009, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
So then what happens to the guys like 98 UT championship team? Hey, you went back to 09. Can't you go back 11 years and pay us?
You could go back 20, 30, 40, 50 years.
I mean, at that rate, when do they pay you, Mike?
The answer to that question, nobody filed lawsuits during that period.
Not yet.
That's right. The 10-year deal is the ones that filed the lawsuit.
Yeah.
This isn't
now do you go back, and is it going to be a snowball effect?
Court.
Huh?
It's not criminal court, so I don't know if seems like you could go back because we've seen the lawsuits over NFL concussions went back years, so why not? I mean, you're opening the door to something that could potentially make this even worse.
Yeah. Well, it is a step. I mean, it is a step. Donnie, it is a step. But the $20 million, what do you do with collectives? Are they done? Now, there's talk about in this $20 million that the athletes would have to sign a contract, for 2 or 3 years,
right,
which would bind them to that school.
To the school.
Which would eliminate some of this transfer portal business, which that sounds to me like a step in the right direction, because right now we just got the Wild Wild West and open.
Well, they're signed right now. They sign with the collective.
Yeah.
Because the rule was the school can't be involved. And that was what they're trying to get taken out, is to let the school run that and never have everything reported.
Yeah. Now, under this new deal, where does this put the collectives? You got $20 million in there. Can you then make the collectives part of it? And then if you've got a special athlete, they can kick in the extra money above the $20 million. Don't know.
Don't know exactly how they are imagining it would work, but basically your collectives would end up with an official employee at the school who were directing the collective's money, but it would be the school paying.
Right. So it basically the collectives aren't going to have the power that they've got right now. Is that correct? It's going to be more through the school, and if it's going through the school and we've got contract with these players, are the players now employees of the school?
Right now it's fictional power.
I don't know. It gets complicated.
You know, we don't see these contracts are not on file. You can't review them, so we don't know what kind of criteria they're putting in there and how they're able to hold those players accountable, except to not pay them. So are you paying them after the season? Are you is it every so often you get paid? How the structure is, whether they have any power over the players or not. And then it puts them in the position of being disciplinarians, because if your player goes out there and gets arrested driving on Cumberland backwards or something, does that cancel out their payment for that month? Because that's part of pro contracts is how you
can they use that as leverage?
Now, Donnie, athletes are on 1 year. They're on 1 year deals now.
1 year.
But if you signed with the school as part of the $20 million deal, say you sign a 3-year contract NIL deal, I would think that would be a 3-year guarantee in your scholarship if you signed that contract. So there's some benefits there that they can't get rid of you after 1 year if you sign up for 3.
That's true.
Huh?
That's the quid pro quo, is that you would be guaranteed more than 1 year, but at the same time you can't leave if you don't like it, because you're under contract. Yeah. But that also gets us where something we mentioned last week. Can the school, if they don't like you, then trade you? Ooh. Because they hold your contract.
That's terms of a contract.
So
usually,
if your linebacker's not happy and he's not working out and you're not happy with him, can you trade him to Alabama for their linebacker?
We're going to take a timeout here, and we're going to come back to this after break. But we're going to take a timeout, and we'll return with Donnie Moore to provide some high school scores from around the area. And then we'll get back into the NIL and some UT football. Hey, you're listening to the Sports Page, Blount County Sports Voice, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
It's payday, and on payday, you want to have access to your money right away. When you enroll for direct deposit at Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union, your money comes to you with no waiting. It's the fastest and most secure way to get paid. Getting set up is easy. All you need is your account number and our routing number. Find out more at tvacreditunion.com. Join us now. Federally insured by NCUA. Some restrictions apply. Ask for details.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality. Wow. For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, Amplifiers, lessons, sound system and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093.
We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply.
Welcome back to the Goatee Sports page. Donnie Moore, I'm going to turn it over to you for some high school scores.
Mike, let me correct myself, something I said earlier.
Okay.
Kentucky did come back in the 10th inning last night. Apparently I went to bed earlier than I thought. So they did rally to beat Florida in that back-and-forth game. So Tennessee is still a game back.
Okay.
But, Donnie, all yours. Tell us what happened.
Sounds good.
Well, I know we are in tournament funland for prep scores, so tell us what's going on.
We are. I've got just a few scores for you right here on the Mandy B. Street Realty local scoreboard. It was region semi baseball action last night around the area. We've got a few scores for you, like I said. The only one I couldn't find was Greenback versus Coalfield in the Region 2-1 1A semis, and they're playing it as we speak, according to Marcus.
Yes, they started, it looks like, at 9:45 this morning.
Okay, good deal. Nobody likes morning baseball, but they're braving it out.
Well, the weather has made it an interesting week.
Hasn't it, though? Good grief.
So
we had some severe storms throughout the area.
Theoretically, everybody was supposed to start region semis on Friday, but we saw some trying to play Thursday, and that didn't work out.
Yes.
And then we had some that were moved back to today to start, and we had some that were played last night on time.
Indeed.
And it's let me say up front before you get to the scores, this is something different. We saw it last year, but it wasn't. The calendar didn't make it such a big deal as it did this year. Is when we expanded to the 4 classifications for basketball, baseball, softball. Baseball's postseason, now the region tournament, the 4-team region tournament is now double elimination. So what the format is, the semifinals are played on Friday, the 2 games. The winners play for the championship in the first game on Saturday. The second game is the elimination game between the 2 losers from the semifinals. And then the survivor of that game plays whoever lost the championship game for the number 2 seed for the state sectionals in the last game of the day. So you got 5 games going on instead of 3.
Good grief.
So we had 2 that got started last night with Alcoa and Maryville. Greenback's playing today, and Heritage starts theirs this afternoon.
Goodness. And softball's still single elimination.
Softball is still single elimination once you get to the regional tournament.
Yes.
And we have quite a few of those as well. But let's recap last night. We can go down and see where everybody is.
Gotcha. Well, I'll tell you the baseball scores that I have from last night. Alcoa versus West Green in the Region 1 2A semis. Alcoa won that one 8-3. In the Region 2 3A semis. The 31, get this record, 31-3-1 Gibbs defeated Seymour 7-1. That's a pretty good record for a baseball team in high school. 31 wins, 3 losses, one tie. Well,
I mean, we've got several. I think Alcoa is 25-5. Farragut's like 34-2 or 34-1.
Yeah. We got some
teams
teams with some good records around here.
And see, Alcoa's their win over West Green. They'll be playing Pigeon Forge right about 12 o'clock for the region championship.
Good deal.
Because Pigeon Forge was a 10-0 winner over South Green. So West Green and South Green pray for their lives after that, and then whoever loses the Alcoa Pigeon Forge game will play at 6 tonight for the number 2 seed.
For the 2 seed, great. Well, the Region 2 1A semis is Greenback versus Coalfield, and like we told you, they're playing as we speak. So good luck to the Cherokees in that contest. Region 2 4A semis was Maryville versus Oak Ridge, and Maryville could only manage 1 run in that contest, and Oak Ridge put up 7. On the other half of that Region 2 4A semi, Farragut played Knox Central and only had to play 3 innings in that one, Marcus.
Yeah, it was
Central
ugly.
Central kind of forfeited that game, if you might say so. They didn't play their best pitcher. Didn't throw their best pitcher in that one.
I think Central was playing it smart in that which I think a lot of teams, not all teams, but most teams would say Farragut is going to be able to beat us.
Yes.
So if they're to get the other spot, let's save our best pitching for Saturday, where we're going to have to win 2 games.
Yeah.
So
anyway, in 3 innings, Farragut won that one 20-0.
And because of that situation, Maryville's playing Central today.
Yes.
So, and if Maryville wins, they're going to have to play a second game. So
that puts Farragut up against Oak Ridge, right?
Farragut and Oak Ridge are playing at 1 o'clock.
1 o'clock. Okay. So
I'm sorry. They're playing right. They're getting ready to play. It's 11 a.m. for their first pitch. Maryville plays at 1:30 against Central.
Against Central.
But
so good luck to the Rebels.
Oak Ridge came out with their southpaw, who was really good, and he had a great day. And I think even Maryville said the best thing about it is if we win our way back to playing these guys again, he's not going to be available because he just had a lights out performance against them yesterday.
Wow. Well, good luck to the Rebels today against Central.
And we also got these were a little bit delayed because of Thursday night's late finishes, but Alcoa beat Eagleton for the, if I say it right, the District 2 3A softball championship.
All right.
That got played up at Gatlinburg on the AstroTurf because Alcoa's field didn't drain in time to play it down there.
I can imagine. Yeah.
So
good.
Alcoa is going to have a 1 seed and host their region semifinal on Monday. Eagleton will travel for their region semifinal on Monday.
Good. All
and
right.
then you have Maryville, who will also travel on Monday after finishing runner-up in 4-4A.
Great.
And we don't know about Greenback. They've had a great year. Last I saw, they were 20-2. And we have not seen a bracket from them. It looks like perhaps they were district champions, but it's not showing up on the TSSAA sites to confirm that yet.
Well, good luck to the Cherokees. We had a national letter of intent signed this week from Maryville High School. Micah Morales signed with Gardner-Webb University for track and field. Gardner-Webb is located in Boiling Springs, North Carolina. They are the Running Bulldogs. They're a Division I school over there. I have 3,000 students and affiliated with, they're an independent school, but they're affiliated with the Baptist Church. So congratulations to Micah Morales.
I don't know that I've ever seen a running bulldog. Most of the ones I've ever seen just kind of lay around and sleep.
Yeah, just kind of lay around and sleep and take naps.
And I snuck one in on you this morning.
Did you?
Grady Robertson has signed.
Grady signed. Okay. Where's Grady going?
Grady is going to Piedmont College.
Piedmont.
So he is going to be in the Collegiate Conference of the South, same conference Maryville College is in.
Good deal.
So he'll be making at least one trip a year back up here to play against the Scots.
Good. Where's Piedmont?
It is down in Demorest, Georgia. And the best way I can say is if you go the straight road, is you go to Ocoee and turn right and wind your way through for a couple hours south. Or you can go to Atlanta and come back up. And if I have to tell you between the two, go to Atlanta and come back up because some of those state fire roads that you have to take out of Ocoee are not quick driving.
I understand.
Donnie, I'm glad you asked Marcus where they were. Piedmont was. I'd have them up in West Virginia or somewhere.
I rode with
Georgia.
Rode with Coach Campbell and the infamous George DeBobby down there for a conference tournament back in, I think it was '08. And that was the windiest road I think I've ever been on the way George wanted to go. So saw a lot of interesting old style gas stations and mom and pop eateries, but it was not a quick trip.
Well, Piedmont will be getting a good basketball player from Grady Robertson.
And then we've also, I believe, William Blunt had 2 more softballs that we'll announce later this week, and then we also had Alcoa baseball has one that'll be in the paper.
Good deal. Good deal. We'll pick those up as they come along. That's great. Well, I'm gonna relinquish command right here. We're gonna we'll do mark it down later on in the show. So I'll throw it back to you, Mike.
Okay. Well, we're going to talk a little bit more about this proposal of the NCAA and NIL and the $20 million on the table to distribute and so forth. And there's some questions out there. I wanted to mention one of the things is that I think's good is that if you signed the binding contract, Marcus, you would have to play in the bowl games.
That is one of the stipulations they are talking about adding and it'll vary from school to school, but it will address that issue of sitting out.
That's good.
And I think it's going to be based on the level of bowl game the schools. Yeah. If you're going to a playoff quarterfinal, then you would be obligated to play. If you're going to a major bowl, like a New Year's Day bowl game, then you could be obligated to play. But if you're going to the Music City Bowl, you might not have to play. Yeah. That type of situation. It's going to depend on the school and what they want to require, and whether they're going to make it a requirement or if they're going to say, oh, if you play, you get $50,000 bonus for playing in the bowl game. How they're going to handle it.
And Donnie, if you got the $20 million, you got the question of who's put in a position to distribute that money? Who makes the decision within the university to distribute it?
That's a whole other question, isn't it?
Yeah, and do the collectives now become a part of that? Let's say you've got a really solid recruit out there, and he doesn't quite fit into the numbers you've worked in the $20 million. Can the collective come in there and put a little bit more money in to supplement that to get this really good player? See, I don't. There's a question there, and then you got Title IX. You got Title IX.
Oh yeah.
Should we get? You got a women's basketball player and a men's basketball player. Should they get the same?
Sure.
So what happens when this situation?
Many questions.
When this situation comes along, so we talked about what a deal UT got with their new women's basketball coach. Mm-hmm. So let's say that she was to hit the recruiting luck of all recruiting luck and get a Caitlin Clark style player signed. And 2 years from now, when they have to keep her in the fold, well, Caitlin Clark made $3.1 million is the estimate on her NIL. So if your player's making more than your coach, you are truly at the professional sports level.
Indeed.
But then technically that player might be the highest paid state employee in the state.
Making more than the governor.
So do you want that situation where you have a 19 or 20-year-old kid making more than the governor of the state for playing a sport?
And I guess the question is here, are they employees of the school? If they're employees of the school, are they entitled to retirement, pension?
That's another question.
There's another question.
And then does that become a recruiting incentive versus going to a Duke or going to a North Carolina, because one is a state school and one is a private school. And one would give you retirement benefits where the other might not.
I don't want TCRS going broke now.
Yeah, they got that right. Let's throw this out there.
But then do they also have to pay the taxes into it?
Let's say you're a great high school player. Let's say you're a great high school player and you come into the university and you don't like the binding 2 to 3 years. You don't like that. You don't like the bowl deal. And you just say, well, I want to come and play for you, but I don't want any of that. And you look to get your money from some other source. And you're basically on the deal that everybody's on right now. What if you just say, I'll take the 1 year deal. I'll just, and I'll just be I'm not bound to you.
It's going to be once a system goes in place, it will be interesting to see who tries to organize the players and how, because every time you have that, this is the counter move to the players getting all of this control over their own futures. So this is the pushback, and it will be interesting to see, depending on how this develops, what the next pushback is from the players, because this is truly going to develop into a professional level where you're going to have a players union for college athletes, and whether they choose to join it or whether it's optional or not. And that's why I think you will see, I mean, the bill is in there and it was filed on Wednesday, a federal law controlling this, because the state law and union state to state will become a recruiting issue if it is not. As to whether you can require union membership or whether you can require union dues, that varies from state to state.
Let's say all this goes down, and somehow or another, all of the questions we've been put out on the table here are solved with answers. Where does it put the NCAA in all of this?
That's why I don't think they're going to be around for this. I just don't see them. They hold those contract rights with the networks at the moment, but they're holding them in the name of the schools who are members of the institution. So how solid they can hang on depends on whether people believe they can take those rights back and transfer them for their own uses in a new institution.
Yep. And Donnie, when we're talking about $20 million here, it seems to me like we're just talking about power conferences here.
That's all we're talking about.
What happens to mid-major, smaller schools?
It's
Obviously, they're not going to get to $20 million, so how in the world are they going to compete with all this?
I'm afraid it's going to come down to the video games.
Where does it put them in all of this?
I think it's going to come down, one of the key things that started this was the players being used on the EA Sports video game. So I think that's going to end up being the guide, is those sports games for college football and probably for men's college basketball to a degree will determine who gets money out of this and who doesn't, because otherwise you're going back to the schools and trying to reference things like jersey sales from 10 years ago and which number that was. And I don't think school bookstores have that sort of thing available that far back.
Donnie, I don't think any of this is going to be solved in the next 6 months, the next year.
Absolutely
I think
not.
We're looking at 5 years, 5 years at best.
It's going to take a long time.
So let's say Mike Edwards, a junior, and his 3-year deal expires and they don't pick up his 4th-year option. Can Mike Edwards then file for unemployment from the state of Tennessee based on a salary of $150,000 as a state employee?
I don't know why not.
Well, Mike Edwards is wanting that NIL deal to go back 50 years. Not at just 10 years, but 50 years.
50.
But then again, how's that going to work? Would they reimburse a guy 50 years on what money was worth 50 years ago? Or would they reimburse you on what money's worth now?
See, now that you've
That's
got
two different deals.
Now
right
that
there.
you've got a structure in place for compensation, and EA Sports is bringing back the college football game, paying out money to the collectives and the players for their NIL, for their name, image, and likeness. Now that they have that structure in place, they could technically, if there was an interest and demand from the video game users, start doing what they did with the professional sports games, and they could go back and do some of those classic teams and players from the past and incorporate them into the modern games. So they could go back and give you the option to play Ernie Grunfield, Bernard King, Mike Edwards, Tony White, and put him on a current UT roster in some of those modes, like you could with the NBA's games where you could put in a Wilt Chamberlain on your roster. Yeah. So maybe there is a chance for you to get that money.
Heck, there's just so what you're saying, there's still a chance for a comeback here.
Yes.
Without me sweating any on the court. I kind of like that deal.
I think you'd have to. I think
no pulled muscles, no
Well,
broken ankles.
I think they put you in that bodysuit and with all the little balls on it and like track your movements.
I just go to the bank. I just get a check, go to the bank.
But I would probably be interested in buying the game if I could go in there and play. Oh, here's my roster. I'm going to go with UT's all-time greatest, and I'm going to put in my Tony White and Mike Edwards.
Sure.
And just, Because you can go back and look at the videos. That stuff's archived. You can digitize that and put it on there and say, okay, 42 feet out, Mike's got a 30% chance. 60% chance he'll put it up, but 30% chance he'll hit it.
We could set that up here on the show, and while these kids are waiting, they could play the games right out here before we call
That's
them
it.
up here to talk to them.
That's
What do you
it.
think about that?
They got a monitor right over in the
There you
corner
go.
that they don't use much.
Yeah.
And it would have to be in today's money, Mike, because you live in today's
Lee,
money.
I'd hope
world.
so. Gas was 19 cents a gallon
Yeah,
back then.
you couldn't deal with that.
You
Couldn't
could
live
get a
with that.
Whopper, a large fry, and a Coke, large Coke for $1.05. Lord, I couldn't live off. I couldn't live off that deal. Huh?
Well, according to Tony, that's about where their NIL is right now. So,
Yeah. Hey, let's talk a little bit about Tennessee football. It's just right around the corner. Marcus got a 16-team league next year, no divisions. That means we're going to have a SEC championship game against the number one and number two team in the league. How do you feel about that? You're not going to have an Eastern champion. You're not going to have a Western. There's no divisions, so that's a championship that you can't hang a banner for. You just 1 and 2. What do you think about the setup with this many teams?
theoretically, it works. And I say that theoretically because if I'm sitting in the SEC office and I'm the guy who said this is the format we need to use and got the coaches to go along with it, I'm crossing my fingers that because of the schedule, I don't end up with 3 7-1 teams and have to pick them based on tiebreakers.
Or that many in second place. That was my next question. What are you going to do with the tiebreaker? How you going to figure the tiebreakers?
I mean, anytime the tiebreaker has been brought out, it's always been controversial and not in an entertaining way, because it's just not a fun thing, and you just kind of hope that they don't get in that situation.
Yeah, because if you do, you're talking about a lot of big money here. You're talking about an SEC championship game on the line here.
Yeah.
Well,
or maybe a national championship.
And the interesting thing about it is, say you're in a situation where Alabama has the best record, or let's say Georgia has the best record. Alabama and LSU are tied for second. They're trying to make tiebreakers. You're going to have those schools thinking, do we really want to be in this championship game? Because right now I'm looking at my ranking and I would go into the college football playoff as a number 7, but if I go in that game and lose another game, I'm not going to make the playoff.
True.
Yeah.
So then you're going to have that. Does the conference championship do anything but make money for the conference? Because now that we have a playoff and it's not based on automatic qualifier, then
the only fair way to do it, Donnie, is just to flip a coin. You got a 50-50 chance. Just flip the coin, forget all the other stuff, and just say, well, it's all about money, boys, so we're going to flip the coin to see who goes. Huh?
That's the way it is.
I mean, if you're the conference champion, you get in, but if you're the runner-up, there's no guarantee for the runner-up. So what's the point in the conference championship game at this point?
Yeah. 12 teams better deal for Tennessee. 12-team playoff, better deal.
I think if you're anybody chasing Georgia or Alabama, then because it gives you a chance to get in and get into that stage, and you're not going to get better unless you are in that conversation with the top recruits and the top transfers. So they've got to see you shine and see what you're about. And when you've got something like Josh Heupel's offense, the more you put it out in front of people, the better caliber of players you have interested in coming and play in that system.
We talked about the NIL this morning in the NCAA, and another problem that's got to be addressed is expansion. Mm-hmm. You got some teams over there in the ACC wanting out of that. You're 16 teams in here. Is the 16 teams as we see it right now, is it a better deal for fans and TV or not?
Donnie, what do you think?
Oh, I think it is.
Think it's a better deal?
Yeah.
I mean, to me, I think the SEC is in a stronger position because it's geographically sound, which I think is going to trump coast-to-coast money of the Big Ten in the long term, because the travel is going to become a recruiting issue. It won't be not so much for football, but in every other top-level sport, we're going to have conference games. We have to fly all the way across the country to go play Rutgers. It's going to be something that the SEC will use against them.
Yeah. Donnie, is it time for the SEC to go to 9 games?
Could be. Yeah, why not?
Yeah, if you're going to expansion and TV and money and fans and playoffs and so forth, why would you want to play 9?
The SEC could financially sustain 9 games easily,
and it switches the dollar value, because if you have the 9th game, you have another revenue game.
Yes,
where you've got more interest and more TV money, and at the same time, you're not paying $1 million to an FCS school to come fill your schedule.
This is true.
Yeah,
I agree.
Has this expansion, and then we're going to go to break here, Marcus, has this expansion in the SEC, has it helped or hurt the league? Now, what I'm talking about are rivalry games over the long haul. You got Texas, Oklahoma, Missouri, and Arkansas. The SEC has always been about rivalry games. I mean, that's the history, that's the background. Do you think that's hurt this with this expansion or not? Or do you think there's going to be some new rivalries that's going to develop here?
We saw the same thing when we made the change into divisions and the SEC expanded with Arkansas and South Carolina, because the Tennessee-Auburn series went away for the most part. And that used to be a huge series.
Oh, yeah.
All through the 70s and 80s.
Same weekend as the Alcoa Maryville football game. It was a big weekend.
At the same time, Tennessee and Florida wasn't really a rivalry until the divisions came in.
They didn't play very much.
And it made – so what I'm saying is the rivalries in the SEC, many of them have evolved and changed and shifted over the years, depending on the formula and the format. So the ones that are truly long-standing, that are reaching 100 years old, where you've got Auburn, Alabama, Tennessee, Alabama, Georgia, Florida, those type of rivalries I think will be preserved, but I don't think you can preserve all of them, and some of them are just going to change and shift to a new team.
Well, look at the rivalry, or we were talking about the football schedule here this morning, Tennessee, Kentucky. Well, that's supposed to be a rivalry, but, Kentucky, they haven't won very many in the last 40 years. And then you got Vanderbilt.
But some of your rivalries can change so quickly, because your team, you can become a very good team in a very short order. It doesn't take a 5-year rebuilding program anymore.
Yep.
So that changes the dynamics of any rivalry, and rivalries can be 2 or 3 years at this point. It's not really a rivalry, but you're only going to have so many of those that are going to hold on.
To me, it doesn't make any difference, because if it's Tennessee and Kentucky, would I rather see that rivalry go away and Tennessee and Texas come together? Donnie, I'd rather see Tennessee and Texas, wouldn't you?
I would too.
Yeah, or
any
Tennessee,
day.
Oklahoma,
any day.
Any day of the week.
Sure.
To replace them with somebody like that. But, we'll see. Hey, it's time to turn the page, and up next will be the Anderson Lumber Company segment. You're listening to the Goatee Sports Page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
The Bluetick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Bluetick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Bluetick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville. The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today. Call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Your newspaper? That's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at stevensonTire.net. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment. Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards along with the rest of our broadcast crew. And now it's time for the Goatees Sports Page Player of the Week segment, sponsored by Anderson Lumber Company, where quality service is always a priority. Proudly serving Blount County for over 75 years. Donnie Moore, we are reorganizing here on the sports page this morning, and we're moving you into the Player of the Week segment.
Works for me, brother.
So I'm going to turn it over to you. And
Donnie has a stack of headlines like a bunch of 2x4s, just like Anderson Lumber. He's just ready to break them out one by one and nail them together for us.
Yeah.
Works for me. Like I said, sounds good. Okay. All right, let's get a few sports headlines tacked together right here, and
there we go.
We'll roll them out right here. Like I said, we'll give you some sports headlines brought to you, as always, by our friends at Fast Signs. Well, 3 former NBA players have been convicted of defrauding the NBA's insurance plan for players and their family members of more than $5 million in benefits over a period of over 4 years. In late 2023, Terrence Williams, Will Bynum, and Glenn Big Baby Davis received prison sentences varying from 18 months to 10 years for their roles in the scheme. The players would submit false claims and medical procedures that never took place. Imagine that.
I'm just going to wonder who sat around and came up with, like, well, you know, if we get a doctor involved, we can fake surgeries and get money from it.
A lot of it was dental. At least around half of it was anyway. But you know, why do people just go out of their way to think up stuff to fool people to get money when they could just go play basketball and make money?
Like they're not making enough.
No kidding. That's what I'm saying. They're not making enough, so they try to defraud the insurance of over $5 million.
And it's the players' insurance.
It is. It's so players and their families' insurance.
So this is what's set up for the players, for their families.
Yes.
But it is not like this is not like defrauding Blue Cross Blue Shield.
No.
This is a fund.
It's a fund that's set up for players and their families. And some of them, you know, they got sentences of from 18 months was one. There's 3 of them. One of them got 18 months. One of them got a little more than that. One of them got 10 years.
Wow. But you know, some of these guys involved. I mean, Glenn Davis.
Yeah, Big Baby Davis.
You got it, like.
Is he related to Babyface Nelson?
I don't know. He must be, because he's in the pen now.
It's just surprising.
I know it was to me too. These guys, what are they thinking?
And you got to wonder how they're going to be treated in prison too.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're white collar crime, but you're a former NBA player, do you get respect or are you a target?
Big Baby Davis
You
is
know, I'll bet you in prison those guys.
Guy.
Hey, I'll bet those guys won't even be captain of the pickup games in prison.
No.
Those guys will look at them and say, "You're not going to be. I'm a captain here. You know, you might get chosen, you may not.
You may not." Well, the Jacksonville Jaguars franchise has been the focus of rumors for several years of a potential relocation to London. But those rumors have been quashed for good, as next week the team will announce massive renovations to Everbank Stadium that will make it the, quote, stadium of the future, with a price tag of $1.4 billion. It will be 4 times as wide as it currently stands, with interactive social areas and food that is local to the city. The stadium will include state-of-the-art technology and a shade canopy to reduce heat retention by 70%. There should be shade on all seats with new HVAC, plumbing, mechanical, and electrical systems throughout. The Jags' new state-of-the-art 125,000 square foot sports performance center was unveiled last year. This new practice facility included locker rooms, team and positional meeting rooms, training and recovery areas, medical support facilities, a weight room, dining facilities, office space, a draft room, 2 full-size grass practice fields, and a full-size indoor practice field. Wow. Pretty impressive.
What'd they leave out?
I'm not sure of that.
Drive-in movie theaters, not the only thing I can think of.
Yeah, that's about it. That's about it. Somebody's spending some bucks on that team. A growing number of thoroughbred trainers, Mike, are calling for the time between the Triple Crown races, the Kentucky Derby, the Preakness, and the Belmont Stakes, to be lengthened to 1 month. That's now about 2 weeks, right? Yeah. Let's say the Derby be run on the first Saturday in May, the Preakness on the first Saturday in June, and the Belmont Stakes on the first Saturday in July. They say that certainly more Derby horses would run in both the other races, increasing the chances for a Triple Crown winner. Consider this statistic. The 20 Preaknesses run between 1994 and 2013 included an average of 5.45 horses from the Derby. Over the last 10 years, however, that number has dropped to 3.6 horses per year. Last year, the Derby winner Mage ran in both races. The rest of his career, he was beset by physical problems, only running 2 more races post-Triple Crown, and was retired last November.
Yeah, horses are getting to be like pitchers in baseball.
They sure are.
You know, it seems like, and a lot of these trainers are holding these horses out.
Yep.
They'll hold them out of the Derby and just prepare them for the Preakness, or they'll hold them out of the Derby and the Preakness to run them in the Belmont.
Yes.
And you know that's an unfair advantage, I think, for your Derby winner.
It is
to a certain extent, because that horse is not going to be nearly as rested and
so they're calling for more time between the Triple Crown races.
I think that would be a good move. I think you would see more horses in the Preakness and the Belmont. Mm-hmm. That's my big argument. There's not near as many. You got 20 plus horses in the Derby.
No.
But you get to the Preakness, and I think in some years, 6 horses, maybe 7 horses, and in the Belmont.
They're cutting down way on the number of entries into the races.
Seems like a lot of hype, and if you're going to have a lot of hype, you want more participants, don't you?
Yep,
I would think.
You do.
I would think you'd take advantage of the holidays, and I've always wondered why they didn't. I assumed it was because of the stabling, that maybe owners didn't want to take the expenses for prolonged gaps in between the races. But if I was going to draw it out, I would say keep your Derby on, in the early part of May.
Yeah.
Ride the 4th of July for your second race and use Labor Day for your third race and put the big gaps in there so that they can run all three. And, tie it into the holiday because, it's not like almost everybody's taking a break for the Labor Day and nobody's doing anything on 4th of July except baseball.
Right. That's about it. Well, we'll see how it goes. I don't know. The Philadelphia Union signed 14-year-old phenom Kevin Sullivan to a 14-year deal on Thursday, making him the youngest player in team history and the 5th youngest player to sign a deal in Major League Soccer. 14-year-old. A midfielder, Kevin will join his 20-year-old brother Quinn, also a midfielder, on the Union squad. 4-year deal.
It is, and this isn't that uncommon in the European leagues. The fact is through MLS makes it different, but
yeah,
their developmental programs are always bringing in players at their lower levels. It's just the U.S. doesn't have those lower tier levels. But this is more of a feeder, I think, to the Premier League for him because I think this carries rights with Manchester United in their development program. So it'd be the equivalent of coming in at like the third tier to me of the English Premier League and development program.
Or the minor league baseball.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's a little bit young still.
It is.
And he's a U.S. kid, right?
Yeah, he is.
That's the surprising part more than anything else.
Yeah.
Because it's very rare for a U.S. player of teenager to be signing on that level.
Yeah, it sure is. Yeah, it sure is. Well, here's the USA Today college football way too early top 10 for this coming season. We'll start with number 10 and go work backwards. How's that? Number 10, coming in at number 10, Clemson. They finished the season at 9-4 and finished the season ranked at number 11. So they're ranked at number 10 coming in, the way too early top 10. Starting at the season is ranked at number 9, Missouri. They finished at 11-2 and finished at number 14. Coming in at number 8, number 9, sorry about that. Number 8, I'm sorry, number 8. Oklahoma finished at 10-3, and they finished at number 8 last season. Coming in at number 7, Notre Dame finished at 10-3 and finished last year at number 6. Number 6, Ole Miss finished with a record of 11-2 and finished last season at number 5. Number 5 on the top 10, the way too early top 10s, Alabama finished with a record of 12-2 and finished at number 2. But they're only picked in the with the record of finished at number 5, coming in at the top 10. Oregon's number 4 in the way too early top 10. They finished also with a record of 12-2 and finished at number 7 last year. Ohio State's the way too early top 10. At number 3, they finished at 11-2 and finished last year at number 9. Number 2 on the way too early top 10 is Texas. Texas finished at 12-2 and finished at number 4 in last year's poll. And, of course, Georgia's number 1 in the way too early top 10. Finished at 13-1 and finished last year at number 1. So, what do you think?
We got California Nico lined up at quarterback.
Yeah, Tennessee's nowhere to be found.
We're not anywhere to be found. Is all the hype?
All
the hype around here and nowhere else?
Tennessee's back there. And I think they're 16.
I think they were in mid.
And I got to
mid-teens.
I'm comfortable with 16.
Are you?
For that Tennessee team? I mean, low teens is where they should be because you've got one bowl game for this quarterback. That's not the same thing as a regular season SEC game.
Yeah, he's just not.
He
don't
know.
Have any experience
and
so far.
I can't quibble with Alabama being where they are because you've got a new coach.
Yeah.
And you've got a new system, and you've got a lot of guys that transferred out when Saban left. So, I can't really quibble with much on there. I mean, but then again, it's May. we can argue a lot more come August.
What's the high water mark win-wise for Tennessee football next year, and what's the low water mark?
For the way too early pick, because I don't want to be held to this
we're
next
way too early
in
right
December.
here.
These are way too early picks.
I would say Tennessee's high water mark is 11-1, but more likely 9-3.
Well, you can't have two choices here.
Well, if you want, are we picking?
Are you saying 10-2 and let it go with that?
If you want me to pick where I think they finish, it's 9-3. If you want to say a potential high water mark that is possible without being overly over the top, I would say 11-1. But that would require some major games
so
from
too.
Nico.
I think 11-1's high. I think that's all they can do. I don't think they're going to go undefeated.
I don't think you can beat Oklahoma, Georgia, and Alabama. You're going to at least lose one of those three.
I think their high mark is a 10-2. I think they're going to lose 2 regular season games at least. That's a high mark. And
in this
8,
conference,
I think
that
8-4 would be the low mark, the low water mark on that team next year.
8-4.
It could be worse than that if things went terribly wrong. If you lost Nico against NC State, things could go south real quick for you. But if saying everything's equal with your star players and healthy, you should be able to expect at least 8-4.
Yeah, you got that stretch where you got Oklahoma and Arkansas and Florida and Alabama.
Yeah,
and Kentucky.
That's pretty
right
tough.
in that. I mean, that's a gut middle check right there.
It sure is.
In my opinion, if you didn't win out at Oklahoma and you weren't feeling real good about yourself, and you got Arkansas and Florida coming up next, do you lose one right there? And then if you do, you got Alabama and Georgia looking right at you. So, like you're saying, I mean, things could. They could. And, North Carolina State's not going to, they're expected to challenge in the ACC. And
sure.
And I know they don't have as much respect here in the SEC for the ACC, but heck, North Carolina State, that's going to be a pretty good test, especially early, I think.
It's a test. It can also be a statement game. I mean, you're talking about a team that's probably going to be within a spot or two, maybe 3 of Tennessee in the rankings when they first come out, when they're playing that week. So,
yeah.
Notice that they've got in USA Today's in their top 10, they've got 2 teams that lost 3 games last year, and 1 team that lost 4 games last year in their top 10.
Well,
when everybody's in 2 conferences, it's kind of hard not to lose a couple games.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah,
that's true.
And we're going to see the result. I mean, some of those schedules.
Hey.
I mean, we talk about the SEC schedules, but some of those Big Ten schedules, I mean, you got teams that played in the playoffs last year are going to meet in the regular season.
Yeah, that's true.
Hey, one of those teams that you mentioned, Oklahoma, they got one heck of a schedule. They've lined them up. It's like, well, welcome to the SEC, so we're going to show you what it's like right off of the bat. And their schedule, man, I'm telling you, it's horrendous.
It is. It's
brutal.
Have you seen the one where they've got the cartoon, the SEC commissioner, and it's got Oklahoma walking up? He says, "Welcome to the SEC. Let me show you around. Let's start here with the woodshed."
Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for me. Back to you.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what's going on on Wednesday night. Marcus, May the 15th.
It's a party.
It is.
It's our postseason.
William Blount High School. It's the Goatee Sports Page Awards program. Tickets are $10. Can be purchased at the door and where else? School.
There's a link on the Facebook page. You can go to get tickets. It's going to be a little bit different than last year. Not entirely. The format's going to be fairly similar, but we're moving venues over to William Blount.
Yeah.
Going to use the gym there. But it's still going to be the most extensive list of athletes awards that we have ever done. We're going all the way down through fishing and hunting and dance and cheer and, we're including everybody.
It's the wide world sport.
TSSAA,
Wide
we're going to
world.
recognize you. If you're going to be TSSAA, we're doing lacrosse as well. So it's a long list, and I think we've got no shortage of nominees in almost every category.
Yeah. And this is the best. This is the best in each category. Is that the way I read it?
That is the way it's been explained to us from years from the past.
There's one winner from each category.
There's one winner from each category.
All are honored there, but there's just one winner. Yeah. And we'll be there.
We will be there.
We will be there.
We're late for a break. We need to take
okay.
a break, and we'll come back and talk a little more about this.
Okay. Well, Mike, put us in a break, Mike.
Okay, it's time for a break. When we return, it's the Boyd's Sports Spotlight. You're listening to the Goatee Sports page, and now stay tuned for the best in local sports.
Since 1925, Anderson Lumber in Alcoa has proudly served and supported our local communities. But did you know Anderson Lumber is so much more than a lumber store? You can stop in anytime and see our incredible kitchen showroom. From floors to cabinets and everything in between, Anderson Lumber's experts can help you design your dream kitchen. And then our install team will make it a reality. For anything home, we welcome you to visit Anderson Lumber in Alcoa or shop over 67,000 items online at AndersonLumberCompany.com. Anderson Lumber, since 1925.
Aubrey's is known for real comfort, real food, real good. But remember, Aubrey's is also really into Blount County. Aubrey's Maryville has been a strong supporter of local schools and sports programs for more than 15 years. From baseball to football, dance teams, and marching bands, Aubrey's has helped schools and youth programs generate thousands of dollars. It's easy for us to do because it's the right thing to do. So the next time you're looking to choose a place to eat, we hope you'll choose Aubrey's. Real comfort, real food, real good. See what's on the menu at aubreysrestaurants.com.
We all want our loved ones to be safe. Denso in Maryville is at the forefront of creating technology for safer vehicles. Join the automotive industry with Denso in a fast, challenging, clean, and safe environment. They offer great benefits and competitive pay, as well as a convenient on-site healthcare facility, cafes, fitness center, and more. Start your future now. Entry-level production positions start at $16 an hour for second or third shift. Visit densocareers.com/Maryville to learn more and apply. Merlin's Music World in Maryville is owned and operated by Dylan Davis and has been a fixture in Maryville since 1987. Guitars, amplifiers, lessons, sound system, and video system installations are products available at Merlin's. Merlin's also offers a 24-track digital recording studio featuring audio engineer Rusty Chambers. Visit Merlin's at 1920 East Lamar Alexander Parkway or call 977-0093.
It's payday, and on payday, you want to have access to your money right away. When you enroll for direct deposit at Knoxville TVA Employees Credit Union, your money comes to you with no waiting. It's the fastest and most secure way to get paid. Getting set up is easy. All you need is your account number and our routing number. Find out more at tvacreditunion.com.
Join us now.
Federally insured by NCUA. Some restrictions apply. Ask for details.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for the Boyd's Sports Spotlight. I'm here with Donnie Moore and Marcus Fitzsimmons. And Marcus, we were talking about the Goatee's Sports Page Awards program. It's going to be held this coming Wednesday, May the 15th at 6 o'clock at William Blount High School. And all of our listeners, we encourage you to get out there and see these outstanding athletes, because Blount County is truly blessed with a lot of great athletic teams and athletes that make up those teams, and they're going to be honored there Wednesday night. Tickets $10 at the more, and it's not any more at the door than if you order online. It's $10. Isn't that correct?
I believe that is true, from what I understand.
Ticket prices do not vary.
Yeah.
Please pay these prices and no more.
That's right.
No more.
But I mean, I think it's great we're going to have it at one of the schools. I think it's a good fit for the award show, and it's great to get all the athletes together into an environment that we can honor them, but it's not going to last out 4 hours long. Some of these award shows where this isn't the Oscars. It's our version of the Oscars, but it's not the Oscars where it's going to take all night. So we can have families come in, they can enjoy it, and we can recognize a lot of the athletes. Because, during the course of the year, we've had so many teams on this year, and you start looking at how they have done and how far they've gone in the postseason. It's just been a very successful year all the way around for our Blount County teams. Yeah. Whether it's if you want to measure state championships and by classification or just by success in sports or Mr. Basketball, Mr. Football type awards, by any measuring stick, you've got teams from Blount County in almost every state tournament we've had. So it's a really good fit, and I really think this is a nice expansion.
Yep. And Donnie, you were a big part of this this awards program in the past, Donnie, when we had it up here. This is the second year that Go Tees has been involved in it, but the sports page, we were involved in it before Brian Johnston and Go Tees, and a lot of credit for that has to go to Charlie Paleo. It was kind of his idea to do it, and Charlie worked extremely hard on it when he was here a part of the show, and you were a big part, and we had it right here at, it was Barley's back in those days.
We did,
Bluetick
that's right.
Tavern, and
it upstairs.
It was well received, and it was a big day here on the sports page, and now I think Brian has just kind of taken it to the next level, Marcus.
It's a different level. It's not the same as the Excel Awards were. I liked Excel because of the free pizza. But we also did a much fewer. We only did, I think, 7 or 8 awards at that point. So, and it was just honoring one athlete from a male and female athlete from each high school. So this is a much larger expansion.
It is.
And Charlie's rule: if you were nominee and didn't show up, then he was going to throw a baseball at you next time he saw you. That was he was
hit
you
right in the back.
Yeah, he was going to throw at you.
But Brian Johnston, he go big or go home with Brian.
I don't know, but it's always possible we could have a Bigfoot sighting there. I don't. Just saying, Brian's into a lot of things.
This is true.
We made him promise that nobody's going to throw axes. That was the only promise I got out of him.
Maybe Bigfoot will handle the awards out. Huh?
That would be fantastic.
Yeah.
I think it would be a fantastic move.
Yeah. Well, anyway, let's turn it over to you, Marcus. Your guest is Chris Clark. Chris, good to see you, huh?
Great to see you, Mike.
Yeah. So we'll turn it over to you, to Marcus, and see what's going on in Parks and Rec, huh?
Yeah, I begged Chris to come in and talk to us a little bit because we've had the success we were talking about is kind of hit us a little bit today because everybody who's still playing is playing today. You've got track sectionals going on, softball sectionals, baseball sectionals. You've got all that postseason going on, so everybody's kind of committed this Saturday. I was like, you know what? We haven't had Chris on to talk about all the things Park and Rec is doing, and there's a lot of it. And I know the first one that you all are probably getting calls about already, when do the pools open and when do the lifeguards come out?
That's a great question, Marcus. Actually, lifeguards have been there all week. We open up Johnsonville Pool this Friday at noon, and then we'll take a week to continue to prepare Springbrook to open it, and we'll open it a week from Friday on the 24th at noon. We like to open it up on a Friday when we have our maintenance staff on hand. That way we don't have to call somebody in if there's a malfunction with one of the pumps or something going on. So it's a good day for us to open up the pool, kind of like a soft run, open it up, see how things go. We've turned the pumps on at both pools this week. Johnsonville fired up yesterday, start putting the chemicals in, getting it ready. Lifeguards we've actually been hiring lifeguards since the 1st of February. They've had training a couple of weekends, and now our managers are over cleaning up, pressure washing, making sure all the winter is gone because of course, it's an open facility, so everything blows in, all the leaves, all the trees. So we have to go in there and clean all that up so it looks brand new when we open up next week.
Well, you don't have to put any water in it. There was enough water come out of the sky this week.
Unbelievable. It's amazing. We back our water off, and the good Lord helps us with his water.
Yeah. Now, as long as you didn't fix the hole in the fence I've been using to sneak in, or did you all patch that up?
Well, it depends on which pool, because they somehow seem to appear.
Well, okay. I promise I won't go out there again with that. Now, the other question, I get calls about this at the paper already. The fishing derby.
Yes.
Is it back? And if so, where and when?
It is back. It's at the duck pond, of course. We'll get all that going. TWRA is a partner with us on that. So we make sure that there's some fish caught that day. It's first weekend of June. I guess June the 7th is the date of that. So it's a great weekend. Everybody, it's a part of the fishing. Take a kid fishing that day. So we'll have close to 100, 150 kids around the pool or around the pond that day.
Oh, I think the pool would be a better idea. Let's
Yeah,
expand
no
it out
kidding.
there.
You can see them. You can see them all swimming in there.
They wouldn't catch a thing, though. That's a problem.
We can throw something out there to catch. We'll let you float in the middle, and they can try to cast and see if they can hook you.
They did a thing like in my hometown. They did a thing. They had a fishing derby.
Yeah.
Out at this pond, they sold a bundle of tickets, and if you caught this certain fish, it was going to pay like $500 if you caught the one fish. The fish that you had to catch was a sturgeon. Well, it was a plant eater. Sturgeons are plant eaters, so the fish wasn't going to be caught. That was a big fix, what that was.
Yeah.
If we put a ring in the fish, and if the kid catches it, it'd be like Willy Wonka. You get to go on a
ticket.
You get to go on a tour of Joe Huff's office. Is that? But that's a big thing, and it's free fishing day.
It is.
So that's a great chance to get the kids out there, especially the first timers, little ones who you want to introduce to it. And I give that plug because I know J.J. LaRue is always recruiting for the Alcoa fishing team.
J.J. LaRue and his group do a fantastic job. My son fished with him when he was in high school, and J.J. called me one day and said, hey, we'd like to get involved. Is there something we can do with some of your programs? And I said, that's an ideal spot. And J.J. loves his group. They love being a part of that. And J.J. does a fantastic job with that Alcoa fishing team, but he's so community-oriented and wants to give back, and his kids give back as well.
I'm going to give him a shout-out because – he sent me an email this week. They've got, I think, 3 boats now qualified for the state or for nationals. Right. And I think they've got 3 of the top 10 teams going in the state tournament, so they're doing a really, really good job. There's that big event, something with softball in the summer.
Yeah.
Is that still?
I think I remember that.
Donnie spends a lot of time with us that weekend.
He does.
That is a big deal for our community, and we're so fortunate to still be a part of that. This will be the 56th annual Smoky Mountain Classic, July 12 through 14. 21 of the top teams in the country will be here for the conference, and then we'll have some other teams. We'll have 34 teams competing. Such a great opportunity for our community to show off what we have, and teams from around the country love coming to Maryville for the Smoky. They love coming out here and seeing everybody because our community supports that event like no other. Honestly, the amount of folks that we have from our community to come out and hang out all weekend, they don't get that anywhere else. Like this weekend, they're in Arizona at the Cactus Classic. There won't be many people there at the parks watching unless families go. But when they come here, they know they're going to get to work or get to hone their craft in front of a large crowd. Probably one of the largest, if not the largest, that they have all season. So it is. We love being a part of that, and we love just being able to bring that into Blount County.
Now, will y'all be using all the parks again? Or
we will. We'll use Springbrook for 2 games on Saturday morning. We'll use Everett on Saturday. I'm sorry, Friday and Saturday. Friday we start at 2 o'clock, and then we start back at 8 a.m. Sandy Springs we start at 10 in the morning, and then we'll start back there at 8 o'clock. And then we use Denso Manufacturing. Their plant has 1 field, and we use it for 5 games on Saturday, starting at 8 a.m.
So it's come and get your ticket, and then you can spend all day watching some great softball when that comes around.
Sometimes well into the night, too.
Yeah,
I like the well into the night.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
As long as I don't have to be back on Sunday morning for the championship game, I'm all for it.
That's what we did one year we had rain, and it started raining right before we started the winner's bracket final. They came back and said, we're probably going to look at playing around the clock. And I said, so what time are you thinking? And they said, we're going to start at 11, and when we're done, we're done. And we finished at 9:45 a.m. Didn't have to go back to the park, but I went home and had a good afternoon sleep.
Now, what dates are we looking at it for this year? Is
July 12th through the 14th.
Through 14th.
14th. So we get through 4th of July week, and then you all are right into it.
Yeah, I love this. The calendar this year is perfect for us because a lot of times, like last year, we took off Monday prior to the event. Well, when you have that happen, you lose a day of work. Well, there's a lot can happen in a 24-hour span at that level. So the good thing for us this year is we take off on Thursday the week before, come back, and then we're ready to come back, hit the ground running on Friday the 5th, and then also that next week. So it's a lot of work, a lot of fun though.
So Parks and Rec, I mean, I've seen thumb through the guide that came out in the paper with all the programs y'all are doing. Is there anything you all are not giving a class or a camp in this year?
You know,
it seemed like that book was full.
It is, and that's our point. That's our whole focus is during the summers getting kids active. We don't want kids, don't be at home playing on your phones, playing games. We get that. There's kids that do that, but we want to keep kids active. And if you look at our brochure, that you all are a great partner with us at the Daily Times to do that with us, to get that circular. It comes out twice a year, but the summer. Truly, this time of year is a great time to be a Parks and Rec employee because if you want to stay busy, this is it because we have camps that start in 2 weeks. Once kids let out of school, we don't have anything the week right after school, but after that comes back, we start with volleyball. Sports and more at Everett Rec Center, which is 100 kids. Then we'll have, we have basketball, softball, soccer. We have 3 football camps, track and field. We try to hit a little bit of everything. And not only just athletics, but when I started, I've been with Parks and Rec 28 years. When we started 28 years ago, anything ball was us. If they had anything, soccer, kick, before we started kickball, but soccer, softball, basketball, volleyball was starting. But we do so much more than just sports now. I mean, we've got pottery, we've got sign language, we have dance, we've got gymnastics. I mean, if you look at that flyer, that circular that we sent out, you can go to our website, parksrec.com. It's got a full list of everything. You can click on there. And truly, it's kind of I love telling the story just because of how it served the purpose of what we do. A gentleman came in last summer, about this week, and he had a spreadsheet color-coded with his 3 kids. I'm signing up. This one goes here, here, and here. This one's going in this one. Maybe this one. Try this one. And I saw him at all the camps, and he had his kids in every program just to keep kids active. And it was fantastic. I mean, he brought his laptop into our office, sat out with our ladies, and said, "Here's what I'm doing." And it was fantastic.
And that's one of the things I really like because the expansion has done some. It's great for the Parks and Rec, but the diversity has made it so you don't have to be focused on one thing. Your summer isn't consumed by being interested in one sport. You can try a couple things. Some of those are shorter, like a couple weeks, 3 or 4 weeks, and you can try a couple different things. And you can do like one trip. You can go over there and do something in the morning and do something around lunchtime, and you can it can be like a summer camp that lasts all summer without having to go and pay for housing at a camp.
That's it, yeah. And we try to keep our camps very reasonable for our customers because we know, it's tough. When you have multiple kids, it's tough to get everything that you want to put them in. So we try to make ours reasonable enough to where they can enjoy a lot of activities and stay very busy. And it works. It's been very successful since we started doing day camps. Man, it was probably 2 or 3 years into my working at Parks and Rec, we were like, day camps might be something we need to look into. And we had a Sports and More, Little Legends was what it was called. Scott Blevins and Wayne Thompson did that for years at Springbrook. Then they moved to the Everett Rec Center when we opened it up, and that was the only camp we had. And then after that, we were like, we could try this. And then a lot of it is people come to us. George Quarles, whenever he was still at Maryville, he came to us and wanted to do the East Tennessee Quarterback and Receiver School. Now we've grown it into the offensive and defensive linemen. It's a great opportunity to learn the game of football. We do it for 5th through 8th grade, but then we also have a camp for the ones 1st through 3rd grade or 4th with Brian Gossett at Alcoa. And then we do a speed and agility camp that's I think we have 15 kids in it right now. Everything we do is for the ages of 6 to 12.
And when I look at it, there are a lot of high school and college coaches who like in another environment, you'd be paying $500-600 to go get a 3-day camp where they might make an appearance. But you got these guys working with very affordable type day camps and being very one on 10, 1 on 20 type situations, not 400 and one coach in a
It
name.
is, and we do that for a reason, because we want to get them good instruction. So when they're there, they are there the whole time, and they do it where they want to give back to the community as well. It's not about making money for them. It's about learning a sport, working on your craft. That's what they want. That's what they try to do, and it works. And a lot of times, why they came to us is we handle all the registration, and which is great for us because we do all the registration, we do all the advertising, we do all the paperwork, we get all that going. All they have to do is show up and teach, which is great because they don't have to. When you're doing both, when you're trying to figure all that out, it's tough. You're going to slip somewhere, and so what we said was, we do really good at keeping kids organized and keeping them registered. You do a great job at coaching. Let's work on this together, and that's what's been very successful for us.
And that is true, because when you have to do both, especially like the coaching camps, and they're trying to keep track of different kids in different weeks and different grades and who sent a check, who hasn't, who wants to pay online.
Right.
You all have the pay system that Parks and Rec uses. I'm kind of envious of because it works so well.
It is fantastic. Active.com is who we use, and it's ActiveNet, and they handle all of our registration. They take it, and then we. It works. It's really, we're very fortunate to have that system. We've tried others. We've been entertained by others, wanting to get us to switch because they see how much we do, and we're like, no, this works, and we're going to stay where we are.
So, I guess do y'all have announcements? Can you give physical announcements on anything good coming with Parks and Rec in the next little bit?
Something exciting is we're going before the county commission this Thursday to get turf at Everett for our football field and our upper soccer field.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Absolutely.
I mean, we play 130 games on our football field a year between tackle football, flag football, and soccer. So if there's a field in Blount County that needs turf, Everett Recreation Complex is one of them.
Believe it.
Now, you all have Parks and Rec put across the end zones there? Or?
Actually, we're going to pay homage to Everett. We're going to put Everett in the end zones, and we're probably going to have there will be, I don't want to throw out what it is because we're still trying to figure that out, but there will be a centerpiece on the 50-yard line.
I love it.
That's great. And it's overdue, because that's one of the things that, sometimes when we've had these conversations about who's getting turf and who's having to have it fixed, it's been like, why don't we have it at the fields that are getting the most use of anybody's? And I'm glad that's finally being done.
Yeah.
Glad y'all are getting
Absolutely. Blount County government had suggested that. They were like, what about turf at Everett? We're like, if we can do a feasibility study and understand if we can do it, we did it. We got our bids back a couple of weeks ago. It's very good turf. The folks, AGT, that's doing our turf, if the bid's awarded, they've done the Tennessee Titans and Minnesota Vikings. So they're worldwide. They've done a lot of soccer pitches, so they know what they're doing. So we've got a good company on board.
Yeah, I'm glad to hear that.
Did you have something specific that you wanted me to make an announcement about?
That was the one I was kind of fishing for. I was like,
well, I didn't want to say too much because we've passed two phases, the workshop and then the finance committee, and so now we're going to full commission on Thursday. So we're fingers crossed, get that, and the plan would be to get it done by August 15th.
So they could use it for this football season
and
coming
soccer
up.
season.
Okay.
We need to take a quick break. We'll be right back with Chris Clark. If you can stay with us.
Absolutely.
Okay, we'll be right back.
The Bluetick Tavern is home to the tastiest pizza in Blount County. Try our signature Broadway barbecue pizza, grilled chicken and red onions covered in mounds of mozzarella. Or sink your teeth into our one-of-a-kind chicken and bacon pizza, made with an olive oil base, grilled chicken, bacon, red onions, and covered in Brussels petals. The Bluetick Tavern also has salads, sandwiches, and the area's largest beer selection. Regularly recognized as the best pizza in Blount County, it's the Bluetick Tavern, located at 128 West Broadway in downtown Maryville. Waters Equipment is your East Tennessee New Holland agriculture and construction dealer. Waters Equipment has been serving Blount County for 48 years and has 2 locations in Maryville for sales and service for New Holland equipment.
Offering shop and field service for trucks and equipment of all brands, Waters offers equipment rentals for New Holland skid steer, Mini X, and tractors. Call 238-9000 for your rental needs. That's 238-9000. Waters Equipment New Holland. Excellence in service. For over 50 years and 3 generations, the people of Blount County have trusted Stevenson Tire with their vehicles and their families. Our mission has always been simple: to provide quality products at reasonable prices with exceptional customer service. Featuring tire products from Michelin, BF Goodrich, Uniroyal, Bridgestone, Firestone, and Yokohama, Stevenson Tire also offers alignment and brake services at affordable prices. Stevenson Tire Company, 2411 East Broadway Avenue in Maryville. Call 983-1621 or online at StevensonTire.net. Your newspaper? That's right. The Daily Times is your newspaper, tailored to where you live, emphasizing the things that affect you and keeping track of the people and players in our community. The award-winning Daily Times can be delivered each morning right to your door or inbox with the latest in local news and sports. For a 30-day free trial offer, call 981-1100 and begin enjoying your life, your times, every day with the Daily Times. The Roger L. Newman Company began in 1984 with a vision of providing Blount County with excellent heating and cooling service. Mr. Newman also wanted a real business. No gimmicks and no high-pressure sales. They just fix it or replace it. They want to stay within your budget and make you comfortable. Their motto still stands true today: call us first, we'll be there. Call Roger L. Newman Company at 982-5446 or visit online at rogerlnewman.com. Cooler temperatures are approaching. Upgrade your furnace now for as little as $50 a month.
Welcome back to the Bluetick Tavern in downtown Maryville. This is Mike Edwards, and it's time for this week's bowl prediction segment. And Marcus Fitzsimmons, we'll turn it back over to you and continue with Chris Clark here.
Yeah, we got one more that we wanted to hit on, and I want to give him a chance to brag about. We've missed the first one, I believe, but the Healthy Blunt Triple Crown of Running. That program, I didn't realize how old it had gotten.
Yeah.
It's been, but I've looked at it, I'm like, if you've forgotten at this point, because I know I put mine aside long ago and buried them in the backyard, but if you had resolutions and you're like, now that it's warm and not freezing outside, training for that and trying to get ready for those races that remain, it's just a great entry point into doing some running where you're not going to get run over.
Right. It's a safe, we do, we as safe as we can. We can't close the streets down completely, but we have police escorts, and police are on the streets at some of the intersections. So, but the spring sprint was on April 13th, and then we'll have the Scholars Run, and then we'll run downtown Maryville and through Alcoa on this Reindeer Run during Christmas.
Yeah.
But leading up to those, we have a 10-week program where it's basically learning how to run.
Yes.
And it's a great intro, but it's more of they have a following, and there's people that they've advanced from beginner to novice there's some advanced, but the advanced ones are now the coaches, but they do it for 10 weeks. They meet at Pearson Springs Park or at Springbrook Park, depending on the road race. But for 10 weeks you train. Every Tuesday you come out and you run. And you better do something between Wednesday and the next Tuesday or you're going to be in trouble, because they start getting the workouts to more in line to where you run a 5K on your last day. So if you've not done something by yourself, it just gives you incentive. There's incentive to do something to stay active.
It's that incentive, but it's also, if you're somebody like me whose knees are getting older, they can look at your gait in some of those classes that, maybe your stride isn't what it is. They can give you those lower impact stride and help you adjust that sort of stuff. Because you don't run the way you did when you were 20.
Absolutely.
But also, if you're got kids or I want to say 20-something, maybe you haven't been as active, they can show you the right way to run, because there's a knack to the breathing and the stride to being a good, getting the most out of it, I want to say, not just to be fast, but to get the most out of working out.
Yeah. It is a great program. I did it 1 year. It's just an opportunity for you to, build up for something. again, it's incentive to make sure you're ready for that 5K on whatever date it's on. So the running camp leads you up to that.
And you gotta brag a little bit. Y'all have a very festive reindeer run.
We do.
It's the end of the Triple Crown, but and I know Christmas seems afar off, but it's a great time to run because it's cool. But people showing up in Santa costumes and elf hats and reindeer ears and
running and all that. We give everybody bells, the bells to put on their shoelaces so when they run, everybody's jingling. And we do a costume contest, so they come out and they do. Santa Claus's run. The Grinch ran one year. We have him on our website because it was fan. I mean, he was full Grinch outfit and talked like the guy and everything. It was pretty impressive.
See, I think if you let us get a hold of anything, we won't always jazz it up. If we had the giant candy canes in a relay type situation.
Like at the races or the baseball games where they do that.
Yeah. We could all add a special kids event with that one in that 1 mile fun run. But we have to quick thing, do our picks. But we want to thank you coming in,
Absolutely.
do a little bit of bragging because y'all got so much going on over there. And you want me to hand it off to you, Donnie, or you want me to let Mike do this one?
Are we wrapping up?
No, we got time for a few picks.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, you got to stay around
All
and pick with
okay.
us.
Hey,
then.
Chris, stay right here for these picks right here, and we'll see. Before we get into it, Caitlin Clark played in her debut game in Indiana Thursday
She did.
night.
That's right.
14,000 people there. It was an exhibition game.
I tell you, she's amazing.
Exhibition game. It didn't really. She got 12 points, I think. I don't think it really mattered. I don't think anybody really cared. They had all their.
Who cares? They were just there to see her.
Yeah, 14,000 people for an exhibition game. It was unbelievable. But anyway, let's go with some predictions for next year. They're all football.
All football. Okay.
They're all football. So I'll start with you, Marcus. Will the Vols win an SEC championship this coming season?
In football?
Yeah.
Oh my. No.
No. Chris?
No.
No. Donnie?
That's a negative.
No. I'll say no.
It's unanimous.
No. There's enough hype here to win a championship.
Well, yeah.
But I just don't know.
Until somebody knocks off Georgia.
There's enough hype, but not enough talent.
Yeah.
Not yet.
Not yet.
Yeah. All right, let's move on. Chris, I'll go with you next. Will the Vols make the 12-team football playoff next year?
I'm going to say no.
That'd be a big no. Donnie?
Absolutely not.
No. Marcus?
I'm going to go against the grain and say yes.
Well, if
just because their schedule is so favorable in who they have to play, which means that those other schedules are less favorable. So they could be one of the 3 or 4 that get out of the SEC.
I could be convinced.
It is really favorable, and it's going to be exciting, but
it is. You're right.
No.
But being an alum, it's hard. Being an alum of Tennessee, I've seen it too many times,
Me too.
So.
Yeah, well. Nico Amaliva will meet all expectations at quarterback next year, Donnie. All expectations. You know where they're at. You know where those expectations are right now, don't you?
Does that mean
they're on Mount Everest?
Does that mean fan expectations or coach expectations?
That means fan expectations.
Well, there's already people promoting him for the Heisman, right?
No.
Fan expectations? No. Absolutely
Donnie,
not.
I can say one thing. You're consistent.
I am.
Marcus?
No quarterback meets fan expectations.
I'm a negative
so
Ned today.
No. Chris?
That's a tough ask. No.
It is.
No.
Not from fans.
I say no. So
this is probably the easiest pitch we've had to do all season.
We got one yes here. We got all these high expectations, and Marcus, we've got 3 questions, and we've got 1 yes with all these expectations.
See, I was expecting a question like, how many college players will be arrested in the SEC this summer?
They've sold out season tickets, and you're all no, including me. All right, well, let's go here. Tennessee will beat Oklahoma in Norman next year. Marcus?
Ow, that's a tough.
Is
it time for fast signs again?
Goodness.
I thought I heard their noise.
Well, Brian's
Now,
on his
before
way.
you answer
so.
that, Oklahoma has their entire defense back. They have their entire defense back. They're pretty solid. They're kind of like us. They're pretty solid at receiver. They got good run backs, but unlike us, they don't have the proven quarterback. They're breaking in a quarterback next year. But other than that, they got their defense is everybody has raised their hand. They're all coming back.
I'm going to say no just because it's Nico's first big game.
And you know what? That is a huge game.
Yeah.
That is huge because
It is.
that's the first SEC game, and that kind of sets the pace for the entire season as far as I'm concerned. And that's the game that sets up the next game at Arkansas. And then you got, as we mentioned, Florida, and then you got Alabama, and then you got a Kentucky team that's, I know we've beaten them, but they're supposed to be pretty good next year. You see what I'm saying? I mean, I think this is a huge game out there in Norman. What do you think, Chris?
I don't think they can. It's going to be I would like to say yes, but I don't think they can at Norman.
Well, they're a 5-point favorite right now.
Yeah.
Tennessee is a 5-point favorite.
Way too early 5-point favorite.
If you want to go ahead and make those bets.
Yeah.
Donnie?
Nope.
Golly.
You don't have any sales this morning, Mike. What's yours?
No. I don't think they'll beat them
So,
out there.
out of 4 questions and 16 answers, my one yes
I
on
just-
question 2 is all we got.
I'm sitting here looking at this, and I've got all these expectations, and I'm looking at all these no's, and I'm thinking, is Jeremy Pruitt coaching? Is he still coaching here? I don't know. But I don't know. What do you think?
We'll see when we come back in August. We'll have a much better idea of what Tennessee's really going to look like.
Yeah.
And once they get on the field, we'll have some indications. But, I mean, everybody's got some unknowns. That what Tennessee has going for them is schedule.
Yeah, well, they've done a good job of surprising people in the past with Heupel has. Mm-hmm. So maybe they can pull out the hat trick. You know, they're solid at receiver, pretty good defense coming back. Running backs look good. Quarterback, got your quarterback. I know he's still unproven, but a lot of high expectations there. So, you know, everything points in the right direction. Donnie, before we get out here, it's been a real pleasure working with you.
It has. Thank you, Mike. You too, brother.
And Marcus, been a pleasure working with you. And Chris, it's great to see you.
Great to see you, Mike.
Great
Appreciate
to
the
see
opportunity.
you, and I hope you have a successful season there at Parks and Rec. And
we won't see him again until maybe August.
Yeah, but you're always welcome here. Come back and see us anytime.
Absolutely.
And Donnie,
I'll see you in July.
Absolutely.
We want to thank all our sponsors.
Yes, we do.
Because they really make this show possible.
They do. They make us tick.
Yeah. And we'll look forward to August. We'll be back in August again. As soon as the high schools fire up with the Jamboree and so forth, we'll be back on the air and looking forward to another great year
right.
here.
Boss man's on his way.
Okay, good. All right. Blow that whistle for the last time. Hey, that'll do it for today's edition of the Goatee Sports Page. Thanks to Aaron Ishmael back at Loud Media, our host of the Bluetick Tavern, and all our sponsors. For everyone here at the Goatee Sports Page, until next season, this is Mike Edwards, the Greenfield Gunner, wishing everyone good sports.